Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're painting a pair of bumpers, ironically enough another pair of Focus bumpers and in ocean blue again. Both of these have got a few scuffs and chips around them and they need painting. They've been bought used for a Focus. One of my neighbours up there top of the road here, he is doing up a car, needs these painted in ocean blue. So the purpose of today's video, well, as always I'm just filming what I'm doing, but I'm going to give you a brief rundown. This is for the beginners that want to get into painting. I want to give you a brief rundown of how to prep them and why you prep them in such a way, if that makes any sense whatsoever to any of you. I know people that haven't painted, haven't got a clue, they might pick up a bit of 180 grit and start sanding the bumper, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, but that's not kind of what's needed. You look at every job and you think to yourself, well, most of that's intact, I only need to sand it X amount and sort of go forward from there. So in theory, if most of the clear coat and everything is in good order and you have a few marks, then you can sand the paint down and not have to break through absolutely everything. Keep it as smooth as possible. Use a bit of wet and wet primer. What that is like a non-sanding primer, a smooth primer, and paint straight over it. If you've got big damage to repair, then you have to break right through everything and you have to sand differently and then smooth it all out. Well, what you've got to think of is every surface that you want to paint on has to be as smooth as it can be. Now, if you've got stone chips like this, that's dug right through. Now we need to level that out. You can't paint over that. Paint is not that thick. It will not fill that in. So if we can get away with sanding this to a reasonable level, for argument's sake 400 grit, get it all smoothed out with 400 grit and then deal with these little repairs, if you can feather them out correctly, then we'll be able to put a bit of wet and wet over that and you won't have to put high build primer on it. High build primer's fine, it's high build for a reason, covering stuff up, but then you've got to block and sand every single bit down. So it's a long-winded process. You paint it, you prime it, then you've got to dry it, then you've got to sand it all, clean it all, then you can paint over it. But if you can smooth it all out sufficiently, you can use a wet and wet primer, which is still a 2K product, paint it, let it flash off, and once the primer's flashed off you can paint your colour straight over it. So it sort of speeds the process up. So what we're going to do, because the rest of this looks fairly okay, 320 might be fine, but I'm going to just try 400 first. So I'm going to buzz over this lot with a 400, but these are filth and they need a clean. So I'm either going to clean them down now, or I might use a bit of a red scotch, which is kind of like a 400 grit anyway, and a bit of paste that I've got. Give them a good old scrub down, dry them off, and then sand them with the DA. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll start cleaning these up. Yeah, I think I'll do that just for the sake of it, because it'll key it up anyway. So yeah, I'm going to get a bit of scotch out and a bit of my paste, and it's like a bit of a cleaner, if that makes sense. It's got some abrasive in it as well. So let's clean these down and then go forward from there. See you in a sec. Right, there we go. They're all scrubbed up now. And now they're cleaned down, and well, I've scrubbed them with the scotch and a bit of the paste. You can see someone's been in here touching this up, and then it reveals the little chips. You get to see everything that you've got to try and sort of smooth out. what I was trying to get at was, you don't need to remove paint. That's good, that's perfectly fine to paint over. You don't need to prime every single time you want to paint something. It's just that that mark there needs to be smoothed right out, and the reason you put primer on it is to make it the same sort of level as the rest of the substrate that you're painting. So now it's revealed all of the little marks, damages and stone chips. We can try and sand that and smooth that out, and if I can smooth them out good enough, we can put some wet on wet primer on that, because the rest of it is in pretty alright condition, to be fair, other than the marks and stuff. But yeah, if we can get away with that, we'll go down that avenue. We'll have a little look. So the next step for me, I'm going to get my sander, I'm going to run over this, and then I'll work individually, smoothing out every one of them little nicks, try and get them looking smooth and feathered, and then we'll go from there. See you in a bit. Them all down to 320, and some of the damaged areas I changed to a 180 disc, buzzed most of the damage out. There's some marks here that are going to need a little bit of filler, just to sort of sort them out, as you can see there. But yeah, in general, I haven't had to rip through all of the paint, so that's all good and usable. And these have all feathered out quite nicely. So all of the other damage that I've buzzed over with a bit of 180 has gone through. Some damage is in the paint and lacquer, and some damage goes right through to the plastic. So like that there, we've got to put a little bit of filler in there. Now, same with the other bumper over here. You can see the little bits that I've opened up and the little bits of damage there. Some people use what I call a stopper, which is like a putty, a 1K putty. But in all fairness, don't care how long you've been painting or how good you are, and you use it, that will sink and it will show later on down the line. So I buy Evercoat's plastic filler, Polyflex, there you go. This is what I use. This is their dedicated filler for plastics, and it's a 2K product. You put hardener in it and it won't shrink back. I know they're only tiny little bits. You could get away. The way I look at stopper, which is in a little tube, little squeezy tube, I think I've even got some stopper here. Stopper is for little tiny pinholes in, you know, if you've done something and you've used a bit of filler. There you go. I've got some, don't even know what brand it is. It's so dusty, but yeah, that's a 1K stopper. So you just literally squirt a little bit out, wipe it in any little pinhole, and then you're good to go. But that's mainly for filler. So if you've blocked something down and the filler work's all done, you've got a couple of little pinholes in it, you smear a bit of stopper in that. I watch American people and they cover their car in it. So for little gouges, there's some bits on here that are, you know, not bad at all, to be fair. Some little nicks that you're not going to be able to sort of sand out, like this one here. I shall put a little bit of that in it, sand over it, and then we'll be good to go. But it will stay and it won't shrink back then you won't see the repair afterwards. So that's what I like to use. So I'm going to knock a bit of that up now. We'll go around, do all them little digs with the filler, let that go off, and then we'll buzz over that with 320, and all of the bits that I've opened up, the little circles you see with the 180, then we'll go back over all of that with a 320, smooth it right out, and then we should be good for a clean down, and we get some wet and wet primer on that. So yeah, I'm going to go knock this up, see you in a sec. They're all sorted. We've had a clean up. I've just got a solvent panel wipe them, tack them off, bit of plastic primer, and then we can put some wet and wet primer on there. Just going to go knock up my primer, sort my guns out now. We'll come and clean these and get them sorted. See you in a sec. There we go, guys. That's that process complete. Excuse the noise. People opening things up out there. A few bits of dust. My little plan didn't go very well moving these up this end. Alright, it might come out a little bit cleaner up this end, but nah, we've still got dust and dirt in it. It's a lovely colour. I think I said that last time. I do like this ocean blue when it's clean and fresh, but after it gets dirty and worn and that, it's not very nice. The only downside to using wet on wet rather than 2K iBuild primer, obviously you block the iBuild primer. This wet on wet primer, obviously you don't block it, so you get a bit of, it's not peel, but you get texture underneath the paint, but still come out plenty good enough. This is that cheap multi-mix clear that I'm using for my trade bits and bobs, 66 quid a kit. I mean, the gloss on that, you can't moan. That's pucker. A few nibs as normal, we'll polish them out. I said to him once he gets it on the car, I'll give it a polish up. There's no good me trying to polish it on them trestles. It'll go all over the place. But yeah, came out quite nice. If I weren't filming all the stages, I would have smashed these out hours ago. But stopping, starting, recording, this, that, the other. If only yous lot knew how hard it was. Anyway, that's it from me today. As always, massive thanks for watching, and we'll see you very soon on the next one. Stay safe and be lucky.